Oh yeah, I forgot this exists. Whatever. Now which game should I choose? Huh?
Sleepy. Sleepy.
Oh boy. When I was a kid, I loved the Spyro games. I enjoyed the open worlds, the characters, collecting treasures and other valuables, and battle against enemies and bosses. It wasn't until The Legend of Spyro: A New Beginning when I was done seeing any more Spyro adventures. In other words, I never played any of the Skylanders games. I did watch a few episodes of Skylanders Academy, but it didn't welcome me as a newcomer to Skylanders, and it didn't feel like the Spyro that I remembered. But I will say I saw the reignited trilogy trailer, and I am excited to see Spyro back in the Dragon Realms. And if I do this, will you bring back the original games? Alright, fine. Out of all the Spyro games, this is the one the developers want you to forget the most. This game is known to suffer the same fate as Crash Bandicoot: The Wrath of Cortex. Both were the fourth installment of their own franchise, both were released a few years after the debut of the PlayStation 2. Both of their developers move on to create some other original games like Ratchet & Clank and Jak and Daxter, and both were considered the downfall of these beloved franchises. Originally, Insomniac was done with Spyro with only the first 3 games, but Universal Interactive Studios decided to continue the Dragon's adventure with the help of a few independent developers. In fact, they had plans for this game. They were originally going to have 25 levels and a plot revolving Nasty Nork and Ripto joining forces to destroy Spyro. But Universal rushed the makers to have the game to be released around Christmas time in 2002. However, rushing to make a game means big trouble. So they just pulled Sonic 06 before Sonic 06. Welcome to another episode of the Wonder Reviews. Pack up the sheep and close the barn door. This is Spyro. Enter the Dragonfly. The story takes place after the events from the third game where the baby dragons are about to receive their first dragonflies. But Ripto, the villain from the second game, cast a spell that ended up scattering all the dragonflies in the Dragon Realms in order to drain the dragon's magic. So Spyro has to find all the dragonflies and defeat Ripto. From what you just heard, it does sound like a legitimate Spyro game. Is the adventure exciting as it sounds? Absolutely not! The problem with this game is that it ended up being a short-length adventure with only 9 levels, and that includes the Dragon Realms as your home world. The game does try to make the level into a giant maze where you had to collect 10 dragonflies each, and they double the amount of gems up to 600 to 800 gems. Sadly, collecting treasures is not as thrilling as it sounds since there are so many gems, mostly red and green ones, and they are the smallest amount. And you have to search every corner of the level if you want to get a 100% level completion, even if it means you had to go into a gigantic circle to find them, over and over again. For the dragonflies, whenever you spot one of them, there are times you have to chase them and you need to use your bubble breath to catch them. But the problem is with this type of gameplay is that when you spread your bubbles around, you won't catch them easily. You have to get a direct hit to catch them. In fact, that's one of the advantages that the other games had, is that we didn't need to go into a giant maze to collect treasures or other valuable stuff. We just wanted to explore the world, meet some strange characters, and play some fun mini-games. We don't need a big amount of money or a big amount of other valuable stuff. Just at a minimum of 400 gems or, I don't know, 3 or 4 valuables is enough. Another problem with this game is how they handle the characters. Not the NPC characters like the teddy bears, thieves, and farmers, they're okay. I'm talking about the recurring characters from the original trilogy, like Bianca. She only appears in the beginning and the end of the game, doing little to nothing to the adventure. Second is Moneybags, because he only appears in one level, Dragon Dojo, where you had to pay 200 gems to get across that floating island, and we never see him again or pay any more money for anything else. You can just erase them and the game would still be the same. Wouldn't it make a lot more sense if the dragon you free used its magic to get across instead of saying thank you and disappear? Even Ripto's monsters don't serve a purpose. They're not even one of the boss battles like in the second game. Ripto is the only boss in this video game. Oh, by the way, when did his monsters learn to talk? Last time I checked, they did some grunting sounds like actual monsters.
What do we want this time, boss?
Go, you imbecile! You ate my scepter!
So you can tell this game was rushed based on the setup, but despite that, we're not even at the meat of the worst elements in the game. I'm talking about the gameplay. When playing as Spyro on either the PlayStation 2 or GameCube, whenever you move Spyro, it makes the gameplay a bit heavy than the original trilogy, especially when you're running. As for the other abilities, it is cool to give Spyro new breath abilities like lightning and ice, but Bubbles is only used to capture dragonflies, and Windshield is entirely pointless. It's only used in Thieves' Den where you have to defeat this Riptalk wizard, and that's it. The worst case about the gameplay is regarding the loading screens, since they are way longer than the original games. Now, riding a different level by ship, UFO, and magic carpet is great, but this loading feels like 50 seconds before the level is ready. There's only one good minigame, and that's the speedways. All the others are either tedious puzzle solving or annoying third-person vehicle games. And then there's the boss battle with Ripto, which is pretty easy to defeat, and he doesn't give much of a fight. Again, it's the only boss battle. Alright, let's tone down a little bit. Is there anything good I can find in this game? Well, the visuals are kinda nice. The one thing that is mostly good in this game are the backgrounds. Whether it be Cloud9, Thieves' Den, Honey Marsh, or wherever, it does feel like you're in a Spyro world. And some of the special effects like the breath abilities, dragonflies, portals, and that crystal dragon are pretty nice. And if you're wondering what do I think about the character designs, oh my, they look awful. Well, the designs of local characters are decent and sometimes the enemies. But then you have the main characters looking like an ugly spore with freakily close-up faces. And the character animation feels a bit choppy.
Wow!
And the meme of the month goes to that scene!
Wow!
Whoa. And let's not forget the elephant in the room, the glitches, because they are everywhere. They occur whenever a sound effect is stuck in a loop, a character's mouth is moving, but they're not talking, and there are times where it cuts an unfinished area, only for that area to pop up in a few seconds pretending it never happened. The main cause of the entire gameplay and designs comes from the rendering. If the rendering was handled a lot better and not rushed at all, this game could have been well polished and have a speed of 60 frames per second. And it's a shame because I kinda like this setup of collecting dragonflies, but at the same time, this did not age well. Spyro Enter the Dragonfly is both a disappointment and a lackluster game. It does have some nice visuals, but it's not enough to deflect some poor gameplay, bad rendering, obnoxious glitches, and a short and underwhelming adventure. My recommendation is for those who really love Spyro and don't care about doing a 100% completion and just want to explore these worlds. For anyone else, including newcomers, this is not for you. And that is why I'm giving this game a D+. Does this mean it's taking the flames of failure? I say yes. And I'm starting to put the pieces together of you getting rid of my games. You're just upset because ever since they got their own reignited trilogy.
Good guess, Captain Obvious. If I can't be good as those other games, then no one will.
If you really want people to play the fourth game, why not make a standalone remaster game out of it?
Eh?
You can fix all the glitches, get a high-speed frame rate, stylize everything after the original trilogy. You can even add more levels as it was originally intended. There's gotta be at least some storyboards, concept art, or contents left on the shelf. And if not, you can still make your own levels out of the 25. There are no limits to the imagination.
Thank you for releasing me.
I was serious. I wouldn't mind if the fourth game got itself a remaster game. But if there's anything good that came out of this game, it's gotta be that commercial.
Neither ain't so nice, not to mention troubles with sparks and bubbles.
Good luck getting that out of your head. I'm Mad Hair Patrick. Now, if you'll excuse me, I gotta catch up on my childhood.
Pack up the sheep and close the barn door. He ain't just a fire hazard anymore.
Rated for everyone.
Pack up the sheep and close the barn door. He ain't just a fire hazard anymore.
Thank you for watching my video. Feel free to like, comment, and subscribe me to share your thoughts. And stay tuned every week for a new review and other project. See you soon.